Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues, from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. We are going to have a very interesting show today because you may have heard, or you may not have heard. I'm not sure. But Charlie Kirk was cursed by witches for hire prior to his assassination. Stephen Tucker, a writer from the UK, is going to join us by phone at 14 past the hour to talk about that. He's got an article over at The Crisis magazine. The Curse of Charlie, Witchcraft as a Method of Manifesting Change Like Political Assassinations. It's not a new technique. In fact, witches were hired to curse Donald Trump. You might remember that. We'll discuss all of that with Stephen Tucker at 14 past the hour. Also on the team, Julio Loredo is back from the Tradition Family and Property. They've sent an open letter. In fact, they handed it to him personally just a few days ago. They handed him an open letter asking him to reverse the Francis course on Amoris Laetitia and communion for divorced and remarried. And then, of course, Fiducia Supplicans as well, the blessing of non-traditional couples, man and woman, that kind of thing. So homosexual couples, etc. So we're going to get him on the team at 30 past the hour from Rome to tell us about this open letter and what they hope to get out of that. Have they heard anything yet? We're going to ask all those questions today on the program at 30 past the hour. We'll, of course, put links to everything we discuss in the show notes for you over at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. But I'm not sure if you heard, but Donald Trump addressed the United Nations yesterday. And in that, he actually raised awareness of a global persecution of Christians. Have a listen.
Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity.
It's called Christianity. Oof. I hope that stabbed him like a dagger in the heart, but not likely. Let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And now your saint of the day.
Saint Gerard Sagredo, pray for us. Gerard was born to pious noble parents in Venice in the late 10th century. After several years as a Benedictine monk, Gerard was inspired to make pilgrimage to the Holy Land. As he made his way through Hungary, his great piety became known to King St. Stephen, who summoned the monk and requested that he remain in Hungary and evangelize. Gerard agreed, and found such success with his preaching that the happy king nominated him as Bishop of Chenad, which the Pope approved. Gerard's great love of the poor and devotion to reverent and well-celebrated liturgy ensured even further success. After Stephen's death, the throne of Hungary was contested for several years. In the year of our Lord 1046, the crown was offered to Stephen's relative Andrew, on the condition that he restore paganism in Hungary. Gerard and 3 other bishops traveled to intercede, but as Gerard predicted, they were attacked by pagan conspirators, who murdered Gerard and 2 others. Andrew arrived in time to rescue the 4th bishop, and through his subsequent reign, the king upheld the true faith. Gerard, the Apostle of Hungary, was later canonized alongside his patron King Stephen and Stephen's son, Prince Emmerich. For more about this day and others in the Church's calendar, visit thestationofthecross.com/saints and seasons. Saint Gerard Sagredo, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Breitbart reports Nexstar joins Sinclair's boycott of Jimmy Kimmel. Nexstar announced yesterday that its 28 local stations will not broadcast Jimmy Kimmel Live. That means, along with Sinclair's commitment to not broadcast the show on their 38 local stations, Kimmel will not be seen on a total of 66 out of 240 stations. Disney, ABC, and Kimmel have yet to offer any retractions for Kimmel's comments regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. And Just the News reports YouTube will let users that were booted come back and rejoin. Who knew? Praise be to God. YouTube creators kicked off the platform for repeated violations of COVID-19 and election integrity policies will have an opportunity to rejoin in line with revised policies that allow a wider range of content on those subjects. YouTube's parent company Alphabet told the House Judiciary Committee yesterday. A letter from Alphabet's law firm insists its commitment to free expression is, quote, unwavering and will not bend to political pressure, close quote, while blaming senior Biden administration officials, quote, including White House officials, close quote, for unacceptable and wrong pressure to censor content that doesn't violate YouTube's policies. Yeah, how many times was I punished and put into timeout because of all of that? Anyway, Catholic Vote reports Trump's would-be assassin found guilty. A federal jury yesterday convicted Ryan Wesley Routh of attempted to assassinate President Donald Trump back in 2024 in a sniper plot. Jurors found him guilty on 5 federal counts and now he faces life in prison. Did you even hear about this court case? It seemed like it got well underreported. But anyway, those are your headline news. The gospel today comes to us from Luke chapter 9, verses 1 through 6. Then calling together the 12 apostles, he gave them power and authority over all devils and to cure diseases. And he sent them to preach the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. And he said to them, take nothing for your journey, neither staff, nor scrip, nor bread, nor money, neither have 2 coats. And whatsoever house you shall enter into, abide there, and depart not from thence. And whosoever will not receive you, when you go out of that city, shake off even the dust of your feet for a testimony against them. And going out, they went about through the towns, preaching the gospel and healing everywhere. The gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. St. Bede would say, but if any by treacherous negligence or even from zeal despise the word of God, their communion must be shunned. The dust of the feet must be shaken off, lest by their vain deeds, which are to be compared to the dust, the footstep of a chaste mind be defiled. Close quote, St. Bede. The Ignatius Catholic Study Bible would say Jesus equips the apostles with his own spiritual authority to expel the demons, cure the sick, and proclaim God's kingdom. Trusting in God, the apostles must rely on local hospitality for necessities during their mission. This prepares them for leadership in the church, where they will preach the gospel through a life of spiritual poverty. St. Cyril of Alexandria would say, it was fitting that those who were appointed the ministers of holy teaching should be able to work miracles, and by these very acts themselves be believed to be the ministers of God. Hence it is said, then called he his 12 disciples together, and gave them power and authority over all devils. Herein he brings down the haughty pride of the devil, who once said, there is none who shall open his mouth against me. He goes on, mark here the divine power of the Son, which belongs not to a fleshly nature. For it was in the power of the saints to perform miracles, not by nature, but by the participation of the Holy Ghost. But it was altogether out of their power to grant this authority to others. For how could created natures possess dominion over the gifts of the Spirit? But our Lord Jesus Christ, as by the nature of God, imparts graces of this kind to whomsoever he will, not invoking upon them a power which is not his own, but infusing in them the power that is of himself. He is God. He is both God and man. And this is yet another piece of scriptural evidence to suggest that. St. Gregory Nazianzen would say, now in sending his disciples to preach, our Lord enjoined many things upon them, the chief of which are that they should be so virtuous, so constant, so temperate, and to speak briefly, so heavenly, that no less through their manner of living than their words, the teaching of the gospel might be spread abroad. And therefore were they sent with lack of money and staves and single garment. He accordingly adds, and he said to them, take nothing in the way, neither of staves. Reminds me, yesterday I was reminiscing about my pilgrimage to Greece and Turkey and Rome, going to ancient Corinth, there in the marketplace, the Agora, in one of those ancient ruins of the shops that lined the streets in the center, in the square there, where the platform was, where St. Paul preached. In one of those ruins, St. Paul set up shop to make and to sell his tent-making services so that he could provide for himself and be dependent upon no one so that they couldn't hold it against him. The ancient church, the apostles themselves that went out to the four corners of the world, did so out of faith. Faith in Christ, who was the God-man who sent them, because they chose wisely on what team they should serve. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Did you know you can help evangelize simply by using your cell phone? The Station of the Cross is partnering with iCatholic Mobile, America's only Catholic mobile phone company. When you join iCatholic Mobile, a portion of every dollar will support our programming. Plus, you'll enjoy great service with iCatholic Unlimited 5G data, text, and talk. With iCatholic Mobile, you can stay connected with family and friends while also spreading the truth of Jesus Christ with clarity and charity. Join today at iCatholicMobile.com.
Just a reminder that next week we're going to be launching our on-air appeal to gather the funding we need to continue to operate here at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network. And I'd be very grateful if you would pray for our financial needs here and beg the Lord and even Our Lady to intercede for us that we might obtain all those resources so we can continue the mission. Praise be to God. But joining us now from the UK by phone is Stephen Tucker. He's got an article over at Crisis Magazine, The Curse of Charlie, Witchcraft as a Method of Manifesting Change Like Political Assassinations. Stephen Tucker, good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Morning. Thanks for having me on.
This is a little bit of a story that I heard, I think, like the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I heard this story. But since I haven't heard anybody talking about it, why don't you tell us what happened?
Well, basically, on September the 8th, which was 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was an article on the left-wing feminist website called Jezebel, whose name is probably very telling, and basically the journalists had hired some online witches from the website Etsy, which allows people to hire out their services to the public, in this case spellcasting. And they'd done kind of what was intended as a joke article, whereby they got the witches to curse Charlie Kirk. And then, 2 days later, Charlie Kirk was actually killed. Now, they just meant it as a joke. They didn't want him to be assassinated in terms of any physical harm to come to him, in terms of a curse. They just wanted joke things to happen, like, oh, when he comes to give a speech, can his microphone fail? Or when he comes to tweet, can his phone break? That kind of thing. But, of course, 2 days later, he actually is assassinated. So some people who'd read the article thought, oh, maybe he really has been cursed. And then Jezebel, the website, had to take this down. However, then, you're right, not that many people noticed it. However, some journalists in Britain did, and they managed to contact the hired witches from Etsy, and they spoke to one of them who's called Priestess Lilin, and she gave an interview in which she said, Well, it's not our responsibility that Charlie Kirk got shot through the neck. However, our magic did work. So that sounds like a kind of contradiction in terms in many ways. Wow. However, it depends what you mean by that word magic, which I suspect might be what you might want to talk about next, maybe.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. It's insane to think about. Yeah, it didn't work, but we're happy of the results nonetheless. Like, that's bizarre and evil just on the surface, let alone the actual participation with the occult and demons. And this is something you sort of talk about in a different article. I'm going to link to both of these, but you have another article that you sent me from the European Conservative, Hermeneutically Unsealed Borders, where you talk about how people prayed to Hermes and tried to invoke Hermes to prevent Donald Trump from cutting off illegal immigration into the United States. It's bizarre to me. So many Christians, let alone just Catholics, seem to be completely ignorant to the fact that when in the Old Testament in particular, when they like the golden calf in Exodus 32, that was a demon pretending to be a god under the form of a golden calf, under the form of a calf. This is why the 10 plagues in Egypt that God performs there to deliver his people out of bondage is the killing of 10 pagan gods. And this was a witness not just to the Egyptians, but to the Israelites that there is but one God, which is why that's the first commandment. It seems so bizarre to me that Christians are ignorant to this. And so many people play with the devil and the demons as if it's like a child's toy. They have no idea what they're doing, Stephen.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at a lot of this, it's almost kind of like they're engaging in it. Well, they're secularists, many of the actual witches are so-called, and they're kind of playing at witchcraft. So a lot of these spells which they claim to be invoking, they really view them through a psychological prism rather than through, as you might, an occult one or a magical one. They view magic more as a kind of means of psychological manipulation. And I can give you an example of what I mean by, for instance, the shooter of Charlie Kirk, according allegedly to initial reports, he may be kind of into transgenderism and that sort of thing. And they'd view this as a sort of spell, but a metaphorical spell. You know, you might see it in films whereby someone casts a magical spell and, fire comes out of their fingers or whatever. A lot of these occultists, left-wing occultists today, wouldn't view that as terribly likely. What they instead view magic is a kind of advertising or brainwashing mechanism whereby they can kind of advertise and spread the left-wing ideas throughout society. So, for example, you hear the phrase, someone's come under the spell of an ideology or come under the spell of someone. And with transgenderism, for instance, that's one of the spells which they hope to have cast. Because, 10, 15 years ago, if you'd said to someone a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man, then he would have said, well, that's just a form of mental illness, really, isn't it? However, these days, through repeating sort of mantras, which they'd view almost as spells from public pulpits like trans women are women and that sort of thing, they can almost affect a form of change in physical reality. So, for example, witches in the past were supposed to be able to shapeshift into other forms like animal form or the doppelganger or double or astral double of another human being. Even a female witch might be able to impersonate a male witch or vice versa. Well, nowadays it seems as if people have had this psychological or political spell cast over them by these left-wing witches into actually thinking that they can affect the genuine change in physical reality via this sense. So it's a form of psychological manipulation. So if you view it as, for instance, we talked about invoking Hermes before, the witches who did this, or the occultists who did this, to kind of try and curse Donald Trump's ideas about stopping mass immigration and closing the borders, they wouldn't view this literally as actually invoking Hermes, because they wouldn't think that Hermes or any literal demons exist. It's merely, in the terms of the occultist responsible, it's merely a kind of psychological morale boosting or kind of focus type technique, whereby they can get left-wingers to invoke Hermes in a kind of pantomime sense. And then this, in their terms, fuels their psychological gas tanks, whereby they can feel motivated to go out there and perform political acts in a real-world sense without actually invoking the supernatural at all. For them, it's really just a kind of metaphor, a kind of cosplaying, really, in many senses. So when you say it's insane that they're invoking demons, the majority of them, not all of them, some of them may genuinely believe in them, but the majority of kind of left-wing witches, which are kind of people I've written about, they don't actually think they are genuinely invoking demons at all. It's more just kind of psychological metaphors which motivate their supporters to act.
Well, they may not believe in Hermes, but I guarantee Hermes believes in them from the pit of hell.
Yeah.
And he's happy to use them for his devious plot plans there. And they apparently are willing to participate in some strange way. I mean, St. Paul reminds us that we're dealing with the powers and principalities. You know, this is a spiritual combat. And Father Gabriel Amorth, the late great exorcist of Rome.
The Vatican's exorcist.
Yeah, he would say, you know, black magic, white magic, it's all the same. Occult, it's all working towards the devil's ends. And it seems like too many in the world today, to your point, I think they don't realize, they know not what they do. They don't really understand the gravity of what they're doing here. And it's all about, you know, doing damage to one's political enemy, which is kind of interesting because Donald Trump at the Charlie Kirk Memorial made this joke that I thought was funny and sincere all at the same time. How he unlike Charlie wanted the best out of his enemies. He wanted to help his enemies. And Donald Trump said, I don't want the best for my enemies. I hate my enemies. And he was just being sincere. He was trying to be funny, but he was trying to be sincere and accentuate the best of Charlie Kirk in the process. But I think that's true for a lot of us. We really do have such vitriol for our opposition. And I guess some of us are willing to go to the ends of occultism to do something about that. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, and some of the spells which are detailed in some of these articles are quite hateful, really. Like there's one against Stephen Miller, who listeners might know. He was in Donald Trump's first administration. He was like the border controller type person, wasn't he? And there was a spell whereby you were supposed to get a very large black candle representing like Black Lives Matter and non-white immigrants, and a very small white candle which was supposed to represent Stephen Miller, and you were supposed to light them both, and then you'd kind of blow out the candle of the small white one of Stephen Miller, and imagine his soul kind of going into a bottle and then being sealed in there with certain noxious substances to kind of suffer in a kind of small bottle-based hell for all eternity. Which, I mean, when you think about it, whether, you know, realistically, I suppose messing about with candles won't actually kill Stephen Miller or anything. But people focusing their hatred on him in that kind of obsessive sense, you know, it can have a genuine psychological effect on people who engage in this kind of thing. Like the person who shot Charlie Kirk, I'm sure, whilst he might not have been involved in any magical or occult or witchcraft ceremonies, he'll still have been focusing his hate on people in a kind of broadly similar fashion, won't he? So, I mean, witchcraft does become, ironically, a kind of means via which to demonize your enemies, without realizing perhaps that, as he said, maybe they're actually invoking demons to demonize the people who they hate, I suppose. So an awful lot of it is really based upon this obsessive hatred and a kind of magical projection of it onto the people who they hate, yeah?
Yeah, and I would say, you know, the advent of mass telecommunications, the internet, connected devices, all of these things has made it even more possible for this, you know, this group of human beings that have this ideology that want to dabble in the occult to connect to others. And then just the idea that there are witches for hire, that Etsy has made it possible to create a marketplace where you can go hire a witch to go cast curses on your enemies. Whether they believe what they are doing is actual cult or not is beside the point. Like even that is a nefarious very diabolical aspect to the story. That it's easier now more than ever. You don't have to sneak down to the tarot card palm reader lady and hiding in the corners. You can just do it in the privacy of your own home. It is incredible, the world that we live in and the times that we live in, and I think it should be alarming to most Catholics today. So, Stephen Tucker, grateful for your time today. Thank you for sharing these articles. I'm going to link to both. The Curse of Charlie, the Witchcraft as a Method of Manifesting Change Like Political Assassinations over at crisismagazine.com, and Hermetically Unsealed Borders over at the European Conservative, europeanconservative.com. I'll link to both in the show notes today. Stephen Tucker, God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Bye.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain, and here are your headline news. The Hill reports Trump casts doubt on meeting ahead of shutdown deadline. President Trump yesterday expressed doubt about whether a scheduled meeting Thursday with Democratic congressional leaders could be productive as the government funding deadline looms in just 8 days. He then outlined a litany of unserious and ridiculous demands Democrats are backing that aren't popular with the general public, saying, quote, "We must keep the government open. I'll be happy to meet with them if they agree to the principles of the letter," close quote. Catholic News Agency reports German March for Life draws bishops and thousands of pro-life advocates gathered peacefully in Berlin and Cologne on September the 20th for Germany's annual March for Life. Police prevented disruption attempts by left-wing activists. The peaceful demonstrations marked the third year of the simultaneous marches in both cities. The Bishop of Regensburg joined thousands of marchers in Berlin, walking alongside Berlin's auxiliary bishop through the German capital streets. In Cologne, the auxiliary bishop celebrated Mass with the faithful before the march began, and Bishop Georg Batzing, chairman of the German Bishops' Conference, contributed with a written message. And Catholic Vote reports Secret Service thwarts plot to disrupt New York City cell network. The Secret Service said yesterday it dismantled a vast network of telecommunications servers around New York City that posed an imminent threat to protective operations during the UN General Assembly. Forensic review is ongoing. According to the agency, early analysis indicates cellular communications between nation-state threat actors and individuals that are known to federal law enforcement. And those are your headline news. Praise be to God in all things. You might remember back, I think it was 2023, there was a publication, The Synodal Process is a Pandora's Box. I actually discussed this with Julio Loredo back when that was first published, and he joins us again this morning for an open letter that's been sent to His Holiness Pope Leo XIV. Actually handed it to him from what I read, which is even better. Praise be to God. Good morning to you, Mr. Loredo. Thank you for your time today.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Let's talk about this open letter. So tell us what's in this letter. What are you asking of His Holiness Pope Leo XIV, and how did you get it to him? I'm very curious about that.
Well, let's begin with the last question. We handed it in the Vatican last Monday, not 2 days ago, but last week. So we have the receipts that it was handed through the protocolar service. Now it repeats a very similar letter that we sent exactly 10 years ago, September 2015, to Pope Francis. In that, it was called a filial appeal to Pope Francis in order to preserve the family. Now, that supplication, that text was triggered by our concern that there was a possible breach open within the Catholic Church that would accept adultery by permitting divorced and then civilly remarried Catholics to receive Holy Communion. And there was also the problem of the opening towards the acceptation of homosexual unions. As a result, we asked then, 10 years ago, Pope Francis to clarify the growing confusion among the faithful, to prevent that the very teaching of our Lord Jesus Christ from being watered down. Well, that filial appeal was signed by all the TFP, Traditional Family Property, and sister associations throughout the world. And it was sustained by more than 800,000 signatures, including 210 cardinals, archbishops, and bishops. Unfortunately, with great sorrow, we have to know that far from responding to this just request from the flock, Pope Francis not even did nothing, but he actually aggravated the situation. First with Amoris Laetitia, especially the footnote number 351, which was open to a very liberal interpretation as permitting the Holy Communion to couples that were divorced and, quotation, remarried. And then the authorization for the blessings to homosexual couples with fiducia supplicans. So things got worse. So now, 10 years after, we are addressing a similar supplication, a filial supplication to Pope Leo. Of course, the circumstances have changed a lot. Pope Leo is not Francis, and to say so is simply ignorance. It oversimplifies things. For example, he has once and again spoken in support of traditional marriage between a man and a woman, marriage not as an ideal, but as a sacrament, etc., etc. Unfortunately, the same, let's call them powers that were at work back then, 10 years ago, the LGBT lobbies, media, political powers, financial powers that push on the LGBT agenda. All this huge machinery of the LGBT movement is at work today, and even more than it was 10 years ago. So we are asking Pope Leo to be strong. And we're telling him that there are millions and millions and millions of Catholics that are praying for him, that are praying to Our Lady of the Good Success, to give him strength in order to resist the pressure from these LGBT lobbies, and to not only do not permit that Catholic doctrine be changed, but reaffirm the traditional Catholic doctrine. As I said, he's repeatedly given some excellent homilies, some excellent allocutions about the family, about the union between faith and politics, etc. Unfortunately, there have been concrete facts that have shocked Catholics around the world. For example, last Sunday, or 2 Sundays ago, there was the LGBT pilgrimage to Rome. They crossed the holy gate, I think you call them in English, the Porta Santa at St. Peter's Basilica. And they were officially received, not in St. Peter's, but in Jesu, the Jesuit church, where they even had a mass. Now, how can this even happen during the pontificate of Pope Leo? Of course, these are things that were programmed in Pope Francis' time, but we are asking Pope Leo to have the sufficient strength to begin to cut this type of things. Now, his style is exactly the opposite as Pope Francis. Pope Leo is a friend of small steps, a very prudent approach to problems, etc. He's a typical negotiator, and that's his way of being, that's his way of governing. Now, we say, it's okay to negotiate. It's okay to even concede some secondary points when the unity of the church is at stake. But at a certain point, you begin to touch upon the very truth of the church. You begin to touch upon doctrines that cannot possibly be changed. And then this is the limit of negotiating. So there are already many analysts saying that those limits are being attained, are being reached, that we cannot go any further. So we repeat the appeal that we did 10 years ago to Pope Francis. We repeated to Pope Leo, saying that we are praying for him, that we are asking him to clarify the growing confusion among the faithful. And particularly, we are asking him three things. First, not to change Catholic doctrine or moral issues. Amen. Second, to cancel the so-called rescripts that gave the liberal interpretation of Amoris Laetitia a magisterial meaning. And third, to simply cancel fiducia supplicans. That's the essence of the message. It's online, so anybody can read it.
Well, okay, so I have a couple of thoughts here. One is, as you said, Pope Francis never responded to that supplication that you sent 10 years ago. He never even, did he ever even acknowledge it publicly? Or did he just ignore it completely?
Absolutely not. He didn't acknowledge it. He didn't reply to it. Worse, he worsened things, doing exactly the opposite of what all these hundreds of thousands of faithful were asking him.
So Pope Leo, we are told, was very fond of Pope Francis, would meet with him often when Francis was still alive, and Cardinal Prevost was working in the Curia there at the Vatican in Rome. So it just begs the question, do you think that Leo, I mean, it's kind of a big deal. And I mean, I'm totally on board and 100% agree. Fiducia supplicans needs to be burned publicly at St. Peter's Square in a ritual just to prove to the world how bad it was. But neither here nor there. Do you think Pope Leo, I mean, you're asking him to reverse completely what his predecessor did. I mean, that he just did months ago, not years ago, not decades ago, years ago. And I pray that he will, but I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. Loredo. I just don't know that Leo has the kind of courage to do that. That's a big, tall task, don't you think?
Now, people who know him very well, very intimately, I just had dinner last week with a person who knows him intimately, says that he doesn't like courage. But he has a totally different style than Pope Francis. There was an article by the first thing, Robert Royal, in which he compared Pope Leo to the Cunctator. The Cunctator was Fabius Quintus Maximus, this Roman senator, who preferred to negotiate with Hannibal rather than confronting on the battlefield. Now, in reality, while Fabius Quintus Maximus was negotiating with Hannibal, Scipio Africanus was attacking him militarily. So it's a two-pronged strategy. Now, this person who was very intimate friend of Pope Leo told me that that's his way of being. He first analyzes, he first listens to everybody, and then he takes his time, and then he intervenes even in very radical ways. But for example, when he was elected a general of the Augustinian order, this person told me, for 1 year he did nothing. And then 1 year later, that's what he said, he took a machine gun in the sense that he took things in his hand. That was the metaphor this person used. He's a Monsignor who knows Pope Leo very well. Now, so I think that we have to give him time while not closing our eyes and our ears to possible I don't say errors, but possible false steps. And he has to know that there are millions and millions and millions of Catholics praying for him and asking him, Holy Father, please, please don't repeat the errors of your predecessor. Try to improve, try to reverse them. even step by step. There's no problem with the strategy, step by step. But we have to encourage that he gives these little steps. It's not for us. It's for Catholic doctrine. It's for the Catholic magisterium.
Can I just thank our sponsor, iCatholicMobile.com. iCatholicMobile.com is a sponsor of what we do here at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network. My family really enjoys the plans. Honestly, it's more than just having a good cell phone service provider with unlimited data or 5G and connectivity. All of that is true. They've got all of that, praise be to God. It's that my cell phone company's Catholic. Like me, they believe there's no salvation outside of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. I love that about my cell phone company, praise be to God. Is yours like that? You can check them out online to find more, iCatholicMobile.com. Make sure to tell them that the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network sent you to them. We're having a conversation about an open letter handed to His Holiness Pope Leo XIV just over a week ago. And Julio Loredo is a part of the drafter of this letter and the signers of this letter. There's a whole bunch of them, praise be to God. But I want to read just this little bit here from the letter itself. It says, although employing a seemingly moderate language, some prelates and theologians are already demanding the discarding of so-called moralist prejudices by historicizing situations, updating the church's 2,000-year-old language, and adapting it to the present times. Goes on to say, likewise, Sister Janine Gramick and Father James Martin wish to remove the expression intrinsically disordered and propose alternative formulations tending to make admissible what is not and cannot be accepted. Mr. Loredo, welcome back. And I read this because just recently, His Holiness Pope Leo met with Father Jimmy Martin, and Father Jimmy Martin was happy to tell the whole world that nothing is changing under Leo. It's exactly the same as Pope Francis. So what are we to believe? Did Leo say that to him? Is Father Martin just manipulating the situation? And why didn't His Holiness clarify after?
Well, that's part of the confusion, Joe. That's part of the confusion because two things. First, there's an implicit rule that said that you cannot reveal the contents of a private conversation with the Pope. So Father Martin actually breached that rule. It's not a written rule, but it's a generally accepted rule. You cannot reveal the contents of a private conversation with the Pope, and Father Martin did. Now, having breached that rule, people were expecting a note from the Vatican, putting things in clear. That didn't happen. But then several days after that, a week after that, during the Mass, Bishop Francesco Savino, the vice president of the Italian Bishops' Conference, he celebrated a Mass in the Jesuit Church, Gesù, all in the center of Rome. He celebrated the Mass for the LGBT people. And at the end of his homily, it was not in the official text, but he spoke freely. He said that before coming here, I had an audience with Pope Leo, and he said, Monsignor, go and celebrate this Mass for our brothers, homosexuals and LGBT. Again, this is a breach of this unwritten rule that says that you cannot reveal the contents of a private conversation with the Pope. But again, there was no denial. There was no clarifying note from the Vatican, and this is the type of confusion that we are facing. On the other hand, we see a whole lot of high level prelates, even cardinals, saying things like, for example, Cardinal McElroy in Washington. He says that the sins of the flesh have to be taken out of the list of sins. The acts of the flesh have to be taken out of the list of sins. So there's no sin of impurity. Well, that will be the destruction of Catholic morals. Then there's the German bishops who are saying that Catholic morals have to be totally overhauled because they no longer correspond to modern science. So it's modern science that should dictate the Church's magisterium. Then there's Cardinal Hollerich of Luxembourg. He's a very important person because he's the Secretary of the Synod, the Secretary General of the Synod. he says that the Catholic magisterium is already passé, something of the past that has to be historicized. It's from him that we take that word. So it's history that dictates Catholic magisterium. So there's a whole lot of very high-level prelates and very authoritative theologians saying very heretical and very wrong things without any clarification, without any note, any document from the Vatican. So we see there is a situation of confusion. Now, when there is confusion, this undermines directly the faith, because the faith is a certainty. As St. Thomas Aquinas says, it's a certainty illuminated by grace. But at its core, faith is a certainty. Now, when you enter a situation of confusion and you begin to lose the certainties, you lose the very foundations of faith. So there is a concrete and very immediate danger that many Catholics will begin to lose their faith. And this is why we're asking a word of clarification.
What is your expectation? I mean, as we said in the last segment, Francis never acknowledged it, ignored it completely, and then made it worse. Do you have a reasonable expectation that Pope Leo will acknowledge the letter and or take action?
Now, there's one big difference between, well, there are several big differences, but there's one big difference between Pope Francis' pontificate and Pope Leo's. It's the Pope Leo is surrounded by good and bad people. Pope Francis was basically surrounded by very bad people. Pope Leo has also very good people surrounding him. So he's open to receiving input. He's open to receiving suggestions from these good people. What we hope, because of his very style, that he's very slow in acting. He's very fast in analyzing, but very slow in acting. Remember that he's a mathematician. And in mathematics, you never jump to the conclusion of a problem right away. It's a whole process, and then you, at the end, conclude. He's also a canonist, which is a very specific science that you also don't jump to conclusions. You take into account this canon as against the other one, etc. And then at a certain point, you give a sentence. Being this his style, I think that he's still observing, he's still analyzing, he's still judging. So I would give him time. But this open letter, this filial supplication, it was meant to say, look, Holy Father, there are millions and millions of Catholics praying for you, asking Our Lady of the Good Counsel to give you strength that you can, after analyzing and after taking your own decisions, take the correct steps. And that's the essence of the sense of our filial supplication. Remind you that it's a filial supplication. When you supplicate, you automatically put yourself in a situation of inferiority, in a situation of obedience. It's not a statement. It's not a manifesto. It's not a request. It's a supplication. And it's filial. Filial means as a son. We're sons of the church. We're sons of the papacy. And this is our situation. And this is the principle that we want in the act of asking the Pope to do some things. We remind that we are obedient sons of the church.
Amen. Well said. Mr. Julio Loredo, really appreciate your time today and your insight and analysis of this. We'll pray for His Holiness Pope Leo to read it carefully and to do something about it, because the church has been scandalized enough under the Francis pontificate, and it's time for some reparation, I would argue. But we'll put a link to the entire letter and the article from Per Miriam, which is Michael Haynes' Substack. We'll put a link to that in the show notes today over at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Mr. Loredo, God bless you. God love you. Love to have you back soon. A Catholic Take and all of our shows are made possible through the support of listeners just like you. Your support for our fall appeal will help us to expand the reach and impact of my show, A Catholic Take, and all the other great programs right here at the Station of the Cross. You can help us today by either calling 877-711-8500 or visiting our website, thestationofthecross.com. Thank you in advance, and may God bless you and your family.
And we're back. Welcome to the after show and the second edition of ACT this morning. Because for some reason, the stream just completely crashed.
Is that what we're going to go with, Jake?
Yeah.
Is that our official story? Is it just somehow crashed?
As the song says, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sticking to it.
Well, interestingly enough, the Telegram stream had no issues. So I'm going to blame Switchboard for it. Much as I like Switchboard.
I'm blaming Switchboard.
Switchboard for
Excuse. Probably true, though, to be honest. Probably is Switchboard. We tend to have some issues with them.
Well, it's
too bad.
The thing about Switchboard, and because this comes up, we look into other options. We've looked into other options, and Switchboard does pretty much everything we needed to, and it does it well most of the time. It's just that occasionally there are issues, and when you have an issue, it's like, oh, this is terrible. Let me get rid of it. We got to get something else, and everything else is actually worse. So,
or they all have ups and downs, right? And yeah. I think there's
the other option we looked at literally doesn't do what we needed to do.
Yeah,
that
was the challenge.
Whereas
and who knows actually what causes these things? Like, I don't know. Maybe it was like the witches cursing us today, because we were talking about witches cursing people, and then that's when things went like bad. So, is it just a coinky-dink, a coincidence that's the timing of things? I don't know. But you guys missed a very interesting conversation with Stephen Tucker about witches being hired to curse Charlie.
It'll be on the full podcast once I upload that today.
And are you guys subscribed to the audio podcast? What do I got to do to get you guys subscribed to our audio podcast?
Well, they can find it's published to your YouTube channel, Joe. So they probably just are like, oh, just watch it there.
Nobody listens to those things on my YouTube.
I know there's like two views.
Yeah, like so nobody's listening to that audio only podcast on my YouTube channel, but you can listen to it on Spotify, on Apple, on Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasting audio feeds. If you listen to any audio podcast, would you consider adding ACT to your lineup subscribe? And if you're on a platform like Apple, leaving us a 5-star review is a huge help, because that triggers their algorithm to say, hey, if you liked it, other people will like it too. And then they'll show it to complete strangers, or they'll suggest it in their suggestion feeds and all of that. So it'd be a wonderful way to help us and support our cause is to subscribe and review our audio podcast. Edward Clancy's chiming in on that crazy story that nobody ever heard of. I reported it in the last news segment about Secret Service dismantling this insane, it was like a 35-mile radius around New York City of all these servers being set up to do something nefarious. Edward Clancy says yesterday 100,000 SIM cards and equipment with the capabilities to send 30 million SMS messages per minute. It could have disabled not only regional communications, but nationwide network connectivity. That's kind of crazy. And you know what gets me most about that story is the Secret Service, although they were happy to say, hey, yeah, we did this. We took care of it. You know, we dismantled it. We saved. It's like a story. It was like an episode of, was it Jack Bauer? Is it Bauer from 24? Kiefer Sutherland? Man, I like that show. That was a good show. It's like an episode of that. You can hear the tick, tick, tick of the clock in the background almost. But they don't tell you, like, zero information about who was behind it. You people are killing me. You people are killing me. You leave us to our speculations. You leave us to sit here on the internets and just speculate about all of this nonsense. As Holy Roman Emperor, I will not allow that. If you vote for me today as Holy Roman Emperor, I'm going to make sure that all investigative bodies anywhere found on planet Earth must tell you the facts immediately. As fast as they know them, they have to reveal them. So, you know, like exactly who set this network up and what was their intended goal? To disrupt what? For what end? What's the, like, is it just to be annoying? Is that what their goal was, or was it something far more nefarious than that as they were targeting the world leaders at the UN? You know, college US. What's a guy got to do to just get some plain old justice in this world? I don't know. Good morning to you, Jane. Good morning to you, Rebecca. You are subscribed on YouTube. Well, thank you for that. Praise be to God. I'm so glad. I even listen to the audio only sometimes while doing dishes if I miss the morning show. Well, that's amazing. Praise be to God. It's not a wasted effort, Jake. Your efforts are not wasted. Rebecca appreciates them.
Thank goodness for that.
Thank goodness. Praise be. Clayton,
I've started including the full. I used to not include the after show if we didn't have a guest staying on. But I've started just including it all, so it's just one big, long, podcast.
So less editing, episode. You mean to say?
No, it's more. It's because it actually takes longer to save it because it's a longer thing. So,
is it?
Okay. Yeah. No, cutting off the podcast was less editing, technically. Cutting off the after show.
Was it really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because you just chop off the end, or I wouldn't even. I would just use the recording of what was on the radio. Unless when we had a guest stay on, that required more editing because I had to make it look nice and add some compression and voice EQ and all this sort of thing to make it sound good. So
give it that radio pop.
Yeah.
I love it. It's the coolest thing ever. It's what every podcaster always wanted was to sound like they were on radio. Always. And back in the day, everybody was trying to find ways to sound very radio-y.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Now, dime a dozen. All you got to do is buy this microphone right here. It does it all by itself. You don't have to do anything else. Just buy this microphone. It's like it's the who's podcaster microphone. The Shure SM7, I think it's what it's called. I forget. I've got the other one is over there. It's not as cool looking. This is the cool looking podcast microphone. Although it started in radio, people. Remember where it all started. Hey, Clayton Lee, thanks for voting for me for Holy Roman Emperor. I appreciate that. Now, I don't speak German. Is that going to be a hindrance to my job? But as Holy Roman Emperor, I can decide what the language is of the empire, right?
You're going to try and be king of the Germans without speaking German?
I know. It's going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. I can say some things in German, just not many. Kommen Sie hier bitte. Mach schnell! Mach schnell! Like that, I can do that.
Loki says, so we have to all agree to move to one town and vote Joe mayor and me constable?
Loki wants to be constable?
No, he wants to make me constable.
Oh, he wants to make Jake constable. Jake, are you going to be like Barney Fife and have just like one bullet?
When there's a steel, tarantara,
one little bullet in your pocket.
We uncomfortable feel, tarantara. And we find the wisest thing, tarantara, tarantara, is to slap our chests and sing, tarantara.
Is every day going to be like a musical in the town square?
Yes, I'll just be doing the policeman songs from Pirates of Penzance over and over every day. It'll be great.
It's true. John Paul Sandoval, yes, Kirk. Fact, Kirk means church in German. Charlie's church. Who made that point? Someone made that point. At the memorial itself, I forget who actually said that. Somebody did. We're in Charlie's church today. Los Creole, good morning to you. Chuck Norris, Church of Scotland. As Holy Roman Emperor, I would be doing away with all these churches, just so you know. I'd be ending the Church of Scotland, which has become what now? Like, nobody goes to church in Scotland. It's terrible. Like, they're a bunch of pagans. They've gone back to their pagan roots. Nice mustache. Well, thank you, Dory. You're amazing. Praise be to God. Good morning to you. Taylor, good morning to you. No answers to reasonable questions. That's true. I have no answers to or reasonable questions. Also, when I take communion, I make sure I have gone to confession. But since there is really a line for confession, but a huge line for communion, are Catholics taking the Eucharist without going to confession? I would argue probably, most likely. Very, very true. Which is why I'm very grateful that our parish offers communion during Mass, at least up until the Our Father. They always leave. They leave after the Our Father. So, but you have until then. You've got till then to get into confession. Praise be to God, making it more convenient. Cigar mode. Good morning to you. You're the radioist of them all. Don't I wish? Don't I wish? I'm going to argue I'm not the radioist of them all. I'm going to say the King Dude is probably the radioist of them all. He's got the true old school radio style. The King Dude. You guys ever watch the King Dude? You ever listen to the King Dude? He used to wear the Vendée symbol on his chest all the time. I don't think he does anymore. Speaking of handlebar mustaches, it would fit Joe's face pretty well. I had the choice, Joey Carter. When I was shaving, getting rid of the beard, I had long extensions. I could have kept them. I chose to shave them off for now because I wasn't 100% sure of this whole thing. So I'm still not, to be honest with you. I'm already like, I got the stubble. I'm like on the fence. Do I keep shaving or do I just let it all grow back? I like my beard. I love my beard, but I did need to give my face a break. It was having some issues. King Dude 2 boomer for me, says Lost Creole. Yikes. You guys are rough. Man, oh man. Poor King Dude. Hey, Silent Fire 88, Deo Gratias, good morning to you. Honey West 25, welcome back and good morning. Lynn Pine, you're killing me, Smalls. Good morning to you. Nick the Mike, James 16897, good morning. Junior Barra, Lori, Juan Carlos Nunez, Viva Jesu. Good morning to you, my friend. Junior Barra, good morning to you. Praise be to Jesus. Boy, oh boy, yesterday was it yesterday? No, it was the day before. I filmed another walk and talk video on the Charlie Kirk Memorial. I was my top 5 favorite Catholic moments from the memorial. And I got to say, I saw a lot of deer sign in the woods that I was walking through, and I'm getting juiced up for hunting season. Who else is getting ready for hunting season? Problem is, I don't have a great spot to go hunting, so I'm going to see a lot of signs. See, I'm great. See, that's the thing, is people don't realize I am fantastic at finding deer sign. I could tell you where a deer has been all day, every day. It's a lot harder for me to be in a place where a deer is going to be. That's a lot harder for me to do. But boy, seeing the sign does get me pumped up. Ginger Gal, Joe, you look 10 years younger. Praise be to God. I'll take that. I've been feeling very old, so it's nice to feel a little bit younger again. Low key, I've been hiding my chin for over a decade now, so it's nice to have it out and about again. Low key says, Joe, why don't you do like Jesse Barber? Jesse Barber? Do you mean Terry Barber?
Jesse Barber. He's on that show with Terry Romero.
Or maybe there's somebody else called Jesse Barber. How do we know? I don't know. I mean, by one of those churches there. Okay, no, that was Terry Barber who did that. They are selling and administrate it like he does. He's never stopped masses during COVID in California. Yeah, Terry Barber did buy an old chapel that was being sold off. He purchased it to maintain it so it wouldn't become something else. He's owned that for a long, long time. Terry Barber got his start. He's a realtor. That's his background. He was a real estate guy. And he was just madly in love with his Catholic faith. His nephew is Dr. Michael Barber, the theologian, biblical scholar. So, yeah, you know, I've met other people who've done that as well, who've purchased old chapels to maintain them. In fact, I have a close friend of mine in New Hampshire. It's too bad we're not playing bingo. We need to play bingo again. We'll do it soon. I just sent out 4 prizes, so I'm gonna let that settle and then we'll play again. I have a friend in New Hampshire, way like up north and on the Vermont border, whose family owns a chapel that sits on 30 acres, praise be to God. And they just moved in. So like they built a small house attached to this chapel that's been there for a long time, you know, and belonged to the family for a couple of generations now. And they're maintaining this, praise be to Jesus. I got to go visit that last year on my trip up to New York and back. I stopped by New Hampshire and checked it out. It was pretty cool. So I could definitely see it, but that chapel has to sit on some acreage so I can kill and eat deer, because I'm a meat eater and I love deer meat. It's fantastic. Jane says, I mentioned it here before that he said German. I said Celtic. Maybe it's both. What is both? Jake Sings missed that one on bingo. I know. Like, see how Jake is like totally manipulating you, pulling your heartstrings here.
We're not even playing bingo right now.
That's my point. Is you wait until we're not playing bingo, then you start doing this. Joe, you shave, and 5 minutes later it returns. It's like right there. Yeah. It's all. I could easily just let it all grow back and be here next week again. I'm sure. Now I'm getting ready to go on the Three Hearts pilgrimage. Jake's going to go on his honeymoon, and I'm going to go on Three Hearts. Do I have a beard for Three Hearts? It's a trad thing. They're going to kick me out if I don't show up with some kind of beard, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they're going to say, I'm going to need to see your trad card, sir. You're a little too clean shaven for us. You're making everybody nervous. Are you a Fed? That's what they're going to ask me. Are you a Fed? They're going to show me pictures of like ink blots, and one of them's going to be like a Fed giveaway. Yeah. I'm going to fail the test.
If a Fed trying to infiltrate the TLM has to go like Al Pacino in that what's the name? No, what's the name of that?
Heat?
Shoot. No, I'm blanking out the one where he's the cop. Serpico.
Heat.
Serpico.
Yeah, never saw that one.
Where he has to. He's a cop, but he's a 70s cop, so he's got long hair down to his shoulders and a shaggy beard. Serpico.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen that one.
1973.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Al Pacino, Serpico.
Holy smokes. He was young in those days. I'm just thinking about Heat. Who remembers Heat?
Oh, Heat's
Kilmer.
great.
De Niro.
Val Kilmer's amazing in that.
Yeah. It's great. Man, oh, man. Joe, why don't you, okay, I already read that one. Yeah, buy a chapel. Who knows? Maybe I'll buy a chapel. If I bought a chapel on a bunch of acreage, can I start my own little Catholic village? Would you guys show up and live there under my tyranny? Would you do that? Would that be something you'd be willing to do? Let me know. Las Creole Joe, you be called up for a new Gone with the Wind. Oh, I take that as a compliment. If you're saying I look like, what's his name?
Rhett Butler.
What was his name? Butler? You think I look like someone said
mustache has to be a lot thinner to look like Rhett Butler.
Somebody else said I look like Clark Gable. Like these are like I'll take them. These are great compliments.
Clark Gable's mustache was much, much thinner. So I don't see the comparison.
I don't see that either. But, I'll take I'll take the compliments as they come, no matter what, because I didn't see that coming. Douglas Remigius, not safe even to go to Mass there. Go where to Mass? Go where? What's not safe? Pundits. Joe, with your mustache, you do remind me of both Tom Selleck and Patrick Madrid. Yeah, somebody else mentioned Patrick Madrid. Okay, no fault against Patrick Madrid. Great guy. Met him a few times. Wonderful man. Praise. I love his. My favorite book of Patrick Madrid is his Pulp Fiction book. Great book. You should have it on your shelf. It's a fantastic Catholic apologetics resource. He's an amazing Catholic apologist, Patrick Madrid. But honestly, not as cool as being called you look like Tom Selleck. Let's just be frank, okay? Tom Selleck is cool. Patrick Madrid, less cool, okay? Less cool. I'll take a Tom Selleck reference. That's pretty amazing. The fat version, the ugly, stepbrother fat version of Tom Selleck. But whatever, I'll take it. It's still cool. Phoebe Diggs, it wasn't in the church, Doug. It was on the street. What are you guys talking about? You guys are, I'm missing a key ingredient of that conversation. Robert Anderson, good morning to you. Scarface. Hey, you say hello to my little friend. Who remembers those days? Good grief. Joey Carter. You know who was in that film? Was Michelle Pfeiffer. What did I see Michelle Pfeiffer in just recently? She was in something just recently. I know what it was. Murder on the Orient Express. How many people have seen it? Raise your hand. We watched it on filters. It was so watchable, even for the whole family, with filters. I haven't watched it without filters, so I don't know what's in there that's totally scandalizing. Probably something, maybe language, maybe. But with filters, it was great. The acting was good. The characters, the set, the scene. Perrault, the guy who played Perrault, was fantastic. Talk about a mustache. He had the mustache of mustaches. It's fantastic. It was a murder mystery. Johnny Depp plays the bad guy. So good. Highly recommend.
I was going to ask if you were talking about the new one.
Yeah, of course, the new one. I haven't seen the old one. The new one, so good. Family fun, entertainment. We all loved it. Stop being a supremacist. Stop being an old movie supremacist.
I'm a snob.
You are a snob. That's true.
I am.
Omar Sharif. Don't I wish? Good grief. Could you imagine? Omar Sharif. That was the voice I was trying to steal for my acting gig. It was Omar Sharif. I'm going to be honest. I didn't nail it. I'm just going to be honest with you. It is what it is. But I tried. I did try. Wyatt Earp. Which one are we talking about? Which Wyatt Earp is the reference there? Are we talking like the good one or the not so good one? Like which one? We gotta have a choice there. How do I get these filters? Says P. Smith. Well, okay.
Home Depot.
So go ahead.
Home Depot.
Home Depot. You buy them at home. I don't think you buy them at Home Depot. I wish. That'd be kind of cool. If you can, like, yeah, I'm going to need, let's see here. We're going to need that O-ring for my toilet because it leaks. I'm going to have to replace that. And can I get some movie filters? Yes. To go, please. Thank you. And a side of penny nails. That's yes. I'm going to need some penny nails as well. That'd be pretty cool. So the filters that I have is I use VidAngel. I've used it for years. I know they're Mormon. I know. I also am ashamed of myself. But however, they've been great for my family, and we've really appreciated the use of VidAngel's filters. But we've used that for years. But more recently, I have been testing with a service called ClearPlay. Now, I'm going to tell you that I do not like ClearPlay nearly as much as I like VidAngel. In fact, I would say ClearPlay has been missing the mark in some instances where like over the weekend, I rented a movie. What did I rent? Goonies. I was trying to watch Goonies with the kids, hoping I can filter out the not so good parts. But there's this scene in the beginning of the movie where there's a naked statue that a certain member of the naked statue gets cut off, and they all joke about putting it back on, and it goes on and on and on and on and on for like minutes. It's like, could you please just skip this nonsense? Like, do you mind skipping this immodesty? I mean, like, why can't we skip the immodesty? Like, hello. And then ClearPlay also doesn't filter out kissing. Now, kissing between a man and a woman, okay, sure, that are married, sure, okay, fine, I suppose, under certain circumstances. But generally speaking, give me the option as mom and dad, as parents, to skip kissing, all immodesties ever, and then let me choose which ones I think are appropriate to add back or not. Like, give me the sub menu, because they have a sub menu. So ClearPlay doesn't filter out any kissing whatsoever. They just show it. And then this modesty thing, they just let that stay in there. So I cut the film off and I'm like, oh, we're done. I'm sorry, we're done. Like, I tried. But I did have to use ClearPlay for the movie Murder on the Orient Express, and it did a great job for that. Not sure what the difference is. Maybe there was very little in it to begin with that needed filtering, which is helpful. Praise be to Jesus. But anyway, and by the way, I think if I'm not mistaken, Goonies is like a PG. So you're starting with PG and filtering. You're not even starting with a PG-13. That's how bad movies are sometimes. Hello from Croatia. Praise be to God. Glad you're on the team today. Thanks for being on the team. Really appreciate you being here. Robert Anderson, good morning to you. I think it's best to just not watch movies or TV. You're probably right, but I love movies. We like to find entertainment for the family on the weekends. And sometimes these filters make it possible for me to expand that entertainment. And where possible, I try to do that. I love movies, man. I'm a movie kind of guy. I like watching movies. I like behind the scenes on movies. I like watching how it's all done. To me, that's the coolest part. Lost Creole. You have a family chapel. That's neat. Anyone can do it. Well, we have a family chapel as well. I've shown you guys pictures of it in the Telegram group. We have a chapel. We have an altar. We have a kneeler. We've got a big. It's not okay. I'm cheating. I'm going to tell you it's an big giant oil painting of a crucifixion above our altar. But actually, I'm just cheating. It's a sticky poster that we had printed with magic murals. It's online. You can check them out. Magic murals, and we were able to have them print this ginormous poster, and then I built a frame to frame it so it looks like it's an oil painting hanging on our wall. So it looks like it's like this big, expensive, beautiful piece of art. And it's a fairly well-known image of the crucifixion of Jesus, but I don't remember the artist off the top of my head. Sorry. But we did that. Praise be to God. And we love our family chapel. That's where we pray a rosary. I'll often spend time in there just to be there. And one of my favorite additions to that was Sharon, who's on our team. Praise be to God. Sharon, one of our insiders, sent me as a gift an image of the face of our Savior Jesus Christ on the Shroud of Turin. And so I like to sit in the chapel and just sort of gaze into the face of our Lord. Sci-Fi, good morning to you. They didn't have PG-13 back then. Back when, in Goonies time?
PG-13 came after Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So I think 86 or 87. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where a pagan priest reaches into someone's chest and pulls out his
which is why I have not shown that to my kids.
It's the best. It's the best Indiana Jones movie. But
I have not
that movie was rated PG.
I know. Well, at least it's like accurate to the First Nations, religion. You know what I mean?
First Nations.
What are we calling it these days? Like
that's the other Indians.
Indians are from India.
That's feather Indians.
The Indians are from India. So what do we call these people? Asiatic migrants? I mean, like
Hindus?
Like Hindus. I mean, that is honestly where they got it from. That film takes place in
India. That's where
I know that one, but I'm thinking about anyway, I'm conflating. I'm sorry. Conflating. I know that took place in India, but I'm thinking about the Aztecs in America, which is the ancestors of the other one. Anyway.
We had a there's an Indian reservation near Buffalo. There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have commercials on the radio advertising, cheaper prices on certain things if you go to their shops on the reservation. Yeah. And then once they had a commercial on the radio, this was something that one of the shops on the reservation put out themselves on the radio, was where this guy with an Indian accent, a subcontinental Indian accent, came on and was like, "Oh, we have all these sales, And the lady and the other lady in the commercial was like, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, you were expecting a woo-woo Indian, not a India Indian. Am I right?" Like
a woo.
Yeah, I'm like,
what's a woo Indian?
Yeah, a woo Indian, not an India Indian. And we were cracking up at this because like there's no way like an actual American, normal whatever company would have gotten away with that. But, the Indians on the reservation, they can absolutely get away with that. They can do whatever they want. Exactly. It was great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just reminded me, 2020, the Great Lockdown. Who remembers the awesome time of the Great Lockdown? I guess I'm allowed to talk about it now on YouTube. YouTube's letting me talk about it now. Back in the day, they would slap me on the wrist and put me in timeout for a week or two at a time. But whatever. We're allowed to do it now. But who remembers the Great Lockdowns of 2020? My family and I went up to Montana, and we were headed. We had finished the mission trip. We were driving to. We had gone to the Blackfeet Reservation because we had collected coats and blankets to give to. There's a priest on the Indian reservation up there who was asking for these donations. So we collected them and we brought them with us on this trip all the way up from Texas. Drove them all the way up there. And then we stopped. That was on our route home. So we went past the Glacier National Park, drove to the Indian Blackfeet Reservation, met with the priest. He gave us the tour. Praise be to God. We delivered the goods. And then we were headed back and we had to get gas. So we stopped at the gas station on the res. And there's a sign that said, they're in total lockdown. They were in 6 feet. 6 feet ain't good enough. We're going to need 7, 8, 10 feet. Mask everything. Everybody's got masks. Your dog's got masks everywhere. They went above and beyond because, not doing these things was considered racist, we were told. So I'm trying to get gas. I'm at the pump. And wouldn't you know it, they would not allow me to purchase my gas at the pump. Instead, they required me to go inside to meet a guy to give him my cell phone number so who could track my position and where I've been, so he can trace me. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen and heard. you are concerned about the spread of disease, but you're going to require me to go in and be closer to people and then actually like have to talk to you, or I might spit upon you by accident and spread some disease, or vice versa. Like, what are we doing? Turn the pump on out there. I never have to touch anybody. Like, I could, you know what I mean? Like, you could have said, wear gloves. I'd have been happier. So instead, I turned around, got in my car, drove down the road, and I'm like, let's pray that there's another gas station sometime soon. That we don't run out of gas and get stuck out here. And when you know it, down the road, there was another gas station. I was able to get gas without having to talk to anybody. Like, good grief. Unbelievable. Who remembers those good days? Sounds like that place was a big experiment. It did, Phoebe. I would agree. Chuck McNorris. I like the name. Is that original? Is that like the family lineage? Or is there something else going on there? Chuck McNorris. There was a VeggieTale movie about that, wasn't there? What was the VeggieTale movie on Chuck McNorris? Wasn't it Chuck McNorris? I forget now. About the whole shaving. Like, they had the Roman enemies. They were all doing gags on each other. Who remembers the VeggieTales?
I don't remember this one. What kind of
pagans are you that you don't remember the VeggieTales?
I don't remember this one.
Chuck McNorris.
This must be after my time.
What do you mean after your time? When was your time? This movie was just out. It's like,
exactly. I grew up on OG VeggieTales. I grew up on King George and the Ducky.
Oh, okay, sure, but you've seen this, Chuck McNorris. Come on now. Anyway, it was the only one where, like, they killed. Like, it was so amazing. Are you sure it was a gas station? Yes, I'm sure it was a gas station. It was definitely a gas station. 100% a gas station.
A petrol station?
A petrol.
I'm going to have to call them that for 3 weeks because I'll be over in UK.
Sci-Fi Mike says, Godzilla movies from back in the day are all rated G. Just watch those. Although in Godzilla versus Gigan, Godzilla receives a gash on his shoulder that spurts blood. They reused the scene in Godzilla versus Megalon. Man, I remember those back in the day. Good grief. Godzilla movies. Now, I was told once that there was one more recent Godzilla film that was very pro-family or very pro-life. I forget which they said, but they said it was very good and I should watch it. Only I don't know which one it is, so I haven't watched any of the new ones. But isn't it just Jurassic Park, but in the city? Isn't it just, that's all it is, really?
Not really.
No?
The Jurassic Park dinosaurs don't shoot nuclear lasers out of their mouths.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But
and they don't battle giant moths, I don't think.
What was the one where they genetically modified Tyrannosaurus Rex and then mated it with a velociraptor? And
it might be the most recent
kind of
one.
like that.
I don't know. They've made like 15 of them in the last 2 years.
We had to watch all of them for
same.
my daughter on her birthday, her 20th birthday. She was like, she wanted to watch all of them. So that's what we basically did. Trust the science, says Mac. I will. Scottish names are the best. I would agree with that. It's true. The whole U.S. was one big experiment, says Darren. I would agree with that, too. KSB, good morning to you. Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Roro Raggy! Who doesn't love Scooby-Doo? Man, Scooby-Doo was great.
Scooby's classic.
Scooby is classic. Except I haven't watched the live-action movie. Did anybody watch the live-action movie? Ever? I didn't. Pete says lockdowns in Florida were great. No one cared. Out still couldn't go to mass unless you went to an SSBX chapel. How sad is that, huh? Angie says, does a pro-life Godzilla film mean a huge nest of smaller lizards? I don't know. I haven't watched it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. Juan, good morning to you. Cigar mode. Roro Raggy. Good morning to you. Praise be to God. Yvonne, good morning. Yvonne, I got your prize in the mail. I was a little late in getting it out, but you are the last winner of the ACT bingo. I mailed it. I ordered it yesterday, so it should be on their way. It should be on its way to you. Kevlar Catholic, welcome back. What bingo space would that story fulfill? Which story? Jake's woohoo. I don't think that fills any of the blocks. Jake making fun of Indigenous First Nations
Hey, I'm allowed to.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why? Because you
I've got
one
one
quarter,
Huron great grandmother.
You have 1/8%.
Yeah, whatever the percentage is.
Huron blood in you.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Basically.
I've got
only the ones who've been here for a while who are actual Americans. So.
So Huron. So therefore, you're responsible for the death and maiming of great saints.
No, that was the Iroquois.
Oh, that was the Iroquois.
It was the Iroquois. The Huron were the ones who he had the most success with. Wrote the Huron Carol and all that.
Okay.
Pretty too. French melody.
I don't think there is a box Kevlar Catholic for Jake making fun of engines. To be honest with
Probably
you,
not.
should we put
There
one?
should be.
Does it happen often enough?
I don't think so. I think this is the first time. Mostly, I just talk about what a great movie Last of the Mohicans is.
Yeah,
so, pretty much.
My kids want to finish watching that.
And how terrible Dances with Wolves.
Dances with Wolves is pure propaganda. Man.
It's just
good,
it's just Avatar before Avatar was made.
Yeah, but it's also propaganda. That's
what I'm saying. So was Avatar.
Yeah. But I still like Dances with Wolves. I mean, I recognize it's pure propaganda. White man bad, brown man good. But I still like it. I kind of enjoy watching that every once in a while. I'll put on that. Yo, Joe, Adrian Fonseca in the house. Praise be to God. Good morning to you. Jane Steve says traffic was non-existent during COVID lockdown. I would agree. As Holy Roman Emperor, I think it might be good to do lockdowns every once in a while just for traffic problems in like New York City or Chicago, Washington, D.C., Houston, Texas. It might be good to say like do regional, every quarter. All right, it's your turn this year. It's your turn this quarter. You have to lock down. So if your name starts with an A through P, you've got to stay home. No employment for you. And no, we're not going to send out Biden checks like the last guy did. Sorry, but no. Just looked it up. Spelling is Kasim. Darren, what are we talking about?
Casey
Kasem. Oh.
Because of...
I met his niece. I met Casey Kasem's niece at a gala dinner that I was hosting years ago. We had the greatest conversation. I was like, my mind was blown to meet the relative of Casey Kasem. Up 10 spots to number 1. It was so cool. Who didn't love Casey Kasem's Countdown? And that guy, such a classic. Robert Anderson, I love the Creoles. Come one, rednecks unite. Come, you want to unite the clans? You want to unite all rednecks? Is that what you want to do, Robert Anderson? That's super cool. Tatanka. Oh, man, Graham Greene. God rest his soul, huh? Who didn't love that? It was great. Joe, says Clayton Lee, you've lost my vote with the lockdown. I was teasing, Clayton. You're so... Don't be so
I wasn't.
sensitive. I was teasing. I was only teasing.
Best 3 months of my life was the first 3 months of lockdowns.
Because you were able to do nothing and just be lazing about.
The government paid me to sit at home.
Did you
there
dress?
There was
did you get
no
dressed
traffic.
for the day, ever?
There was no traffic. Of course.
Did you stay in your PJs all day long?
No, I would get dressed up to relax. It was great. Get dressed up to lounge around smoking my pipe. It was wonderful in my smoking jacket.
Nothing worse than being a lounger.
It was great.
Not be productive? Good grief.
I was being very productive mentally.
I tried to go hunting, man. I just remember I was going to go hog hunting, and I remember walking into Academy Sports to get shells on my way out of town, and I'm like, why are the shelves empty? What is going? Like, did I miss the memo? Like, why is there no ammunition available? They're like, where have you been? Like, no, they were like, where have you been? Cover your mouth, stand back. I'm like, I'm in Texas, aren't I? I thought this was Texas. Is this not Texas? Like, I should be able to like walk into the store without a mask on and buy ammo. Like, it's Texas. It was crazy. I could not believe how insane our world went. Absolutely insane. I bought all that ammo for whatever I could get and shells, and never even. I did see hogs, but I didn't end up shooting at them. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out. I did get about 12 feet from a nasty hog, big tusks hanging out, growling and snarling, because I was trying to do like it was like the middle of the day, and I was trying to figure out like where are these stupid things. So I took my bow and I just went out walking just to see if I could stumble across them, and I did. And then we had like a staring contest, and I was just trying to provoke it to come out of the bush. She was inside the bush, and I was like in a what do you call those things? A sendera or something like that, like a road that's cut into the wooded line or along a fence line or something like that. And I was trying to get that thing to come out so I could try to take a shot at it. I was hoping it was going to rush me, but it never did. So I didn't want to throw an arrow into the woods and lose my arrow. My arrow's $10. I'm not going to spend $10 like that. You need to come out to me, pal. Never did. It was protecting its clan. And then I never got to shoot one. So I had to go home empty-handed. What about your dad's 1800s German? Your dad's side is German? Is that what you said, Jake?
Oh, yes. Edward Clancy was talking about his family dating back to the 1600s in New York.
Dutch? Isn't New York Dutch?
Not all of it.
All of it.
Clancy's not exactly a Dutch name.
Come on. Clancy's so Dutch. It's very Dutch. He's got wooden shoes on right now, I bet it. I bet. Edward, take pictures of your feet and post them on Telegram. I bet you got the clogs on. 100% you got some wooden clogs on.
Paul Turner says, Joe, you look like Gomez from the Addams Family.
That's a new one.
Maybe I should be Thing from now on.
Dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun. You need to stick your hand up higher. I can barely see it. Yeah, there we go. That's. Oh, man, I loved the Addams Family when I was a kid. Oh, their hot rod was especially cool. Gomez. I'll take that. I still take that as a compliment. Praise be to God. I'll take it.
I'll just have to grow my hair out and be Cousin It.
Do you remember the see that meme of the bearded thing? That was me just about a week ago. Do you remember the family feud over Casey's body? Says Jane. Yeah, I do. Didn't they? Remind me again. Was it they were trying to freeze his body? Wasn't a cryogenic freezing thing going on? Or was it? I forget now exactly, I guess. But there was some dust up over that. After hearing the author on your show, I read her book about Indian reservations. They are run very communistic. They can't own the land. It's communal. If a non-Indian marries and has children, they belong to the tribe and can be removed if the couple separates. Well, that's, part of the downside of that situation, isn't it? The Indian reservations mostly look kind of sad to me, although a lot of them have gone to gambling because that creates a great resource of income that allows them to, I guess, improve their quality of life. But alcoholism and depression is a major problem on Indian reservations. There's a reason for that. What, Edward Clancy? What are you just saying to me? You sent me a private message. I'm trying to figure out, what is going on? What do you mean? Tell the missus not to speak French during showtimes, or we'll need a filter for ACT. What are you talking about? I don't even know who you're talking about. Children of Casey Kasem settled a lawsuit with widow over death. They accused his last wife of neglect. How many wives did Casey have? How sad is that, huh? Jake's commitment to staying in character was next level. I would agree. Jake portraying a radio producer all these last few years. I mean, he could easily be an undercover Fed with that kind of talent. I am a pretty good actor. I am saying, it's like, it's clearly, I don't mean that literally. There's no way Jake could actually be a Fed. I mean, even though his church is like right across the street from the Fed.
Yeah, that'd be too obvious. Like, come on, that'd be too obvious.
Awfully convenient, because he has to be down there all the time for practice.
Yeah,
choir practice.
Yeah,
it requires him to be downtown, across the street from the Fed.
Yeah, that'd be
a lot.
It's too obvious. There's no way that would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
too obvious.
Mm-hmm. Couple that with clean shavenness, Pope-splaining,
always wearing a tie.
I'm not saying I'm Sherlock Holmes, but
a wise man once said it's hip to be square, so that's why I always wear the tie.
I was Tradish Mom. Good morning. I was 7 months pregnant in July of 2020, wearing a mask. It was fantastic. Good morning to you, Don Paddock. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Angelique and Junior Barr. Praise be to God. Glad to see you guys here. Thanks for hanging out. Praise be to God. Hey, the Thomist, the traditional Thomist, is back on the team. So Jake is German? He is always talking about mustached men.
Yeah. Joe McClain.
I'm noticing the trend, too.
Yeah.
The traditional Thomist. I'm just grateful that I'm in a different state. Let's just say that out loud.
I do talk about Joe McClain all the time.
All the time.
Joe McClain, the new mustache man.
The traditional Thomist also says alcoholism and depression has been a big problem since Joe shaved the beard.
Yeah. I mean, it was also a problem before, but it's been a problem since as well.
True story. You can't prove it wrong. It's true. Since I've shaved, alcoholism, drug abuse have all been major problems. Suicide rates have all been problems since my shaving of the beard. You can't prove otherwise.
The shaving of the beard sounds like a Scottish folk song.
This should be a walking song.
Oh, the shaving of the beard.
You know what the walking songs are?
You get the walking songs. That's the
walking songs.
Is this the one where the women are beating sheets with sticks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll play the slightest clip before I get banned forever by YouTube. Let's just hold on.
Why are they about COVID?
Hold on. I got to do something first. I got to do this, or else it might. Let's see. That's a jam right there. That's it. I probably will get a copyright strike just for that little piece, but that's a jam. That's some real Scottish jamming right there. The ladies would gather and they'd take the wool, the tweed, and they'd work it. They'd get it wet. They'd work it on the table, and they'd sit there and jam out on their songs together, almost like cadence, so they can be in line together, Praise be to God. But then if you go and you look up what the words actually mean as they're singing in Scottish Gaelic, you don't really want to know what they're saying, what they're talking about. They're talking about getting pregnant and all this other stuff with Hamish, the good looking feller in town. Like, good grief, ladies.
So they're just like
scandalous.
They're just like blue collar peasant people are today.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, the peasants have always been vulgar.
Sad but true. That's why they have stills and smoke and do other nefarious activities like
100
eat
pounds
sugar
of
all the time.
Copper line.
Blaine, good morning.
You think they can afford sugar?
Probably not.
Sugar's an aristocratic pursuit.
Yeah, it's probably for the rich folk.
They get the peasants eat the corn syrup.
You need to be in a Western Catholic. You need to be in a Catholic Western, a Catholic Western. It's interesting because, can I just be honest with you for a second? I am so tempted. I'm highly tempted. One of my bucket list items is to try to produce a live action drama of some kind, action drama. I really want to do it. I want to produce an entire series on the church in the end times, what the church looks like right before the Antichrist is made known to the world. Like, the Antichrist is there, but he's still hidden, but he's about to become public. It's about to get super obvious. What does the church look like? So it's an underground church. It's a persecuted church, already being persecuted, hiding and saying clandestine masses. That's the idea in my head. And there's a trend out right now that's growing because of Chinese Communist Party propaganda on TikTok. But other now creators are picking it up and they're attempting this, and that is vertical video dramas. So the entire film, you film the entire film, but then you release the film in like 90-second episodes in vertical format.
It's for the
They're
Zoomers.
doing it, and they have like there's like a bunch of different apps that now exist where people are distributing their vertical video dramas through these apps. And it's a big industry now. People are making millions of dollars creating these movies and distributing them in this way. So I'm like, I would love to experiment with that. So I was thinking about producing a short film of my idea, where we would release it this way. How did I get on this subject? I got on this subject. It sort of triggered me about all this. But you're talking about Western movies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think it's the industrious family film people that I was just hanging out in Idaho and filming my St. Hilarion character. They're getting ready to produce a short film on Billy the Kid. And I got to talking to them about that and how I went and visited Billy the Kid's gravesite. And not like 2 graves over, not quite, but close, is Texas Red. Texas Red is buried in the same cemetery as Billy the Kid. And you all know the story about the big iron on his hip. That's Texas Red. And he's right there close to Billy the Kid. Or is that an empty grave of Billy the Kid? You know, Young Guns 3 is about to come out. They're making Young Guns 3 now, where they take on the myth that Billy the Kid wasn't killed, that he would go on to live a quiet life until the 1930s. And before he dies, he reveals his secret to, I think, a journalist or something like that. So they're getting the old gang back together to make Young Guns 3 to go down that road. I think that's very fascinating. But so the industrious family who's making Fabiola that I was just in, they're doing Billy the Kid. And I thought, I shared this. I'm like, you might consider doing it in the vertical video format just to see, just to try to experiment with this content in this way to see because it has the potential of virality, because it's super easy to consume, right? It just takes you 90 seconds of your time to watch an episode. And then if you hook the audience, if you give them an open loop, an open loop of curiosity that they have to fulfill in order to, I got to know what comes next, right? Could you imagine? Then they might binge watch the whole thing that way, share it with their friends. If I had George Soros kind of money, I would invest in 1,000 Catholic filmmakers creating entertainment content, captivating audiences, not just for catechesis, but for entertainment purposes as well. I would absolutely do it, 100%. But fortunately for the world, I'm as broke as a joke, so I can't actually do any of those things. But if I did, boy, I would crush the world with goodness. Doug says you can call it the Chronicles of Big Joe. Oh man, my kids love that song. I remember because we were going on a mission trip to Arizona, and we were driving just bebopping, and I saw the sign, and I was like, God, so excited. Then I let them hear that song for the first time. Called my dad up. My dad was like, "Oh, that's great! Like, it's my favorite song. The Marty Robbins album is my best, my fave.
Love Marty Robbins.
So good. So good. Up until Star Wars, Disney decided to steal it for their horrible Mandalorian nonsense.
They stole Marty Robbins?
They did. They sold the big iron on his hip and made it a Mandalorian song.
Really?
Yeah.
When was this?
You Google it. If I played it, they'd probably send the Gestapo in here to haul me away to prison. For, they'll let me play the walking song, I'm sure, but not you can't cross Disney or it's prison time for you.
This doesn't look particularly official.
I guess I don't mean that Disney did it.
Oh, okay.
It's that someone took the song and made a version of it.
Oh, well, that's amusing.
It is. My kids still love that one.
Somebody's done some 80s and 70s style intros for Star Wars shows, And it makes them look way better than they are. It's great. It's like, oh my gosh, if this is what it actually looked like, I'd be interested in watching. Instead, it's terrible.
Cat Cans, that's amazing. You're amazing. Thank you for being on the team, Cat Cans. Says Young Guns 3, Old Guns. Yeah, I'm coming, you. Don't test me.
Can we have middle-aged guns? And it's just,
Who are you again? Remind me one more time why I want to kill you. I forgot. Yeah, okay. It's Jello time. Jello time, everybody. We'll kill them after Jello time and then a nap. And then, yeah. That'll be great. Oh, this can be good.
You're offending like half your audience right now, Joe.
Half? It's me. That's my, who didn't love, what's his name? The Sheen boy. Emilio Estevez. Why Emilio Estevez? Yeah. Go by your dad's fake name, Sheen. Okay? Your dad's fake name was at least cool because it was named after Archbishop Fulton Sheen. What is Estevez? That's probably your real name. That's less cool. What is your deal? Good grief. Emilio. Who didn't love Emilio? I loved Emilio Estevez as Billy the Kid. He had that cockiness all down. He didn't look anything like Billy the Kid, but it was fun to watch. Man, those are the good old days. And then Charlie, the Navy SEAL, Charlie Sheen gets killed off too soon in there. Who's in charge of this film? What are you doing? But we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I've seen him in interviews talking about getting the gang back together. I hope they actually do, though. I would love to see it. It probably will not be as good as the good old days, but I still kind of want to see it. Alaric, good morning to you. A vertical video about the servant of God, Marcel Van, could be amazing for China. Preserved in the church through the scandal and then died in a communist concentration camp in Vietnam. Yeah, that would be a great story to tell. I'd love that. Okay, so if I had money, we're all presuming that I have the cash to do things. There's several stories I would love to tell visually. I would love to go back and do Ignatius of Antioch. I'd love to do that. His being eaten by lions would be epic, of course. And then his debate with Trajan that leads to his eventual being eaten by lions would be.
Oh, I thought you were going to say after he was eaten by lions.
He debates Trajan the emperor first, and then later gets eaten by lions. But still cool. You're going to tell an ancient Roman story, that'd be fun to do. Saint Cecilia would also be a great story to tell that way. I would like to buy the rights to the story of Master Sergeant Roy Benavides. When he died. Do you remember the lieutenant in Miami Vice? What was his name?
Oh, the lieutenant.
With a straight, thin black tie and the white shirt.
I'm blanking out.
With the katana sword. Remember that when he got in the katana fight? It was kind of cool. I forget that actor's name, but he was friends with Benavides before he died. And when Sergeant Benavides died, that actor had the movie rights to his story. Never did anything with them. Eventually, those rights were sold to Mel Gibson's company. The same company who made We Were Soldiers. They now own the rights to that story. But they have, as far as I know, they've talked about developing a script, but I haven't heard a single word about it ever going anywhere. And it's the perfect, would be perfect to go. It's a Hollywood, big budget action thriller, but also based on a guy who was Catholic and led with his faith in one of the most incredible 6-hour battles of the Vietnam War in 1968. And he was a part of Mac v. SOG, which now is all being declassified. So we can actually know what they did because it's all, it's so old now that we can, they were sneaking into Cambodia and kidnapping North Vietnamese regular soldiers and hauling them back for interrogation, among a bunch of other things. And it was 100% guaranteed that if you volunteered for Mac v. SOG, you were going to either be killed in battle or wounded, minimum. 100%. There was zero question about getting wounded at the very least. And Sergeant Roy Benavides volunteered for that duty because his buddy was there from Special Forces School. And his story is absolutely amazing. You guys know I met him when I was a kid and all that. I want to make his story. I would so make his story. It would be so cool to do that. And I would depict the Holy Mass that morning of the 6-hour battle. He goes to Mass before he does anything. Comes out of the barracks on his way to the chow hall with hot sauce in hand. And he sees a priest saying Mass on the hood of a Jeep. And he runs over there to attend Holy Mass. I mean, like, yes or yes. He's the only guy to come to the rescue of his friends that are in the jungle in Cambodia, begging over the radio, screaming for help. Please come rescue us. He's the only man. There wasn't a team. He's the only guy. One guy is standing in the helicopter. The fire is like they're taking so much fire that the helicopter can't even get close to these men. And so he's like, get me close to the ground. I'll jump off. And that's exactly what happens. And before he jumps off, he makes the sign of the cross and he leaps into the tall grass of this open area of the jungle. See, they landed in the only open area that the canopy would allow for in Cambodia. They were there to steal their mission was to steal a Russian truck because the Russians were supporting the North Vietnamese. And they were bringing supplies coming in through Cambodia up the Ho Chi Minh Trail into North Vietnam, circumventing South Vietnam. And we were like, hey, the Russians are doing this on purpose. And the world was like, no, they're not. Stop it. It's kind of like saying, hey, there's a genocide in Gaza. No, there isn't. Stop it. It's kind of like that. And so we sent the MACV-SOG boys to go steal a truck in the jungle and drive it back to Vietnam. Dumbest idea ever. And the instant that these boys land in the only open spot in the canopy, they figured out very quickly that that was a base of North Vietnamese regular soldiers in Cambodia, just east or just west of Lac Ninh. And it became like hundreds to one. And every single man in that patrol was shot or killed or wounded, and Roy was the only man to come to their rescue. He brings 7 men back with him. Or no, 8 men. I think he brings 8 men back on the helicopter. And he himself was very, very near death. In fact, they put his body in a body bag. Incredible story. I've given that story so many times. I would absolutely make that film. It'd be so amazing. But God's holy will be done. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning. God love you. Thanks for being on the team.